So my name is Martin Abuya, and I will be your MC for the day here at the Exchange. I'm the Senior Analyst Market Access. So when I look around, I can see future millionaires, yeah? People who are ready to, break barriers, get into new heights in terms of investments. So I'd like us to start with a small trivia. And today we're only discussing money.
Yeah, that one motivation is because I have a passion in the capital.
You never know at any given time, yeah? So my first question, and this goes to all non-NSE staff, non-NSE, if you're from NSE, please usiambie mtu kitu, no Googling, no nothing, yeah? First one to lift up their hand gets it. So when was the NSE established? Yes, please. 19? No. When was the NSE established? Yep. You know the range, yes. 1954. Please come. We are here to launch something very important. For those who know about soccer play, how much will it cost you to register on soccer play? Yes? 100 bob. Please. Asante sana. Now we're increasing the limits. Second question. Who can tell me what a bull run means? When you hear the term bull run, who can tell me? Yes. No. Let me pick the students, yes. Please stand, speak up, yeah.
My name is John. A bull run means when the market moves in a long position or in an upward position. Movement, yeah.
Open an account. Last but not least, I promise you I'm wishing you 1,000. My boss will approve. What is the minimum number of shares that an investor can buy on the NSE? What is the minimum number of shares? Yes. 1 share. That was very easy. Here you go. Actually, just the advance. So thank you. Now, I'd like us to kick this off. Today's program is filled with very exciting stuff. But first, I'd like to recognize our partners in the room. And today we are joined here by one of our key partners, that is NCBA. Probably you could just stand. We'll introduce you later, individually. NCBA, karibuni sana. As you can see, they're the only ones with a banner that is lighting. So they're very serious partners. I'd also like to recognize the presence of Agile Business Solutions. Please stand. Thank you. Thank you. And finally, our hosts for the day, Nairobi Securities Exchange, wherever you are, please just stand so that the team. Thank you. A few housekeeping rules. If you exit on your right, if you exit and you take the fast right, in case you want to have a health break, you can do so. When you exit, take the fast right. Now, when I see the faces in the room once more, I can see that you still, you probably don't even know the name of the person next to you. I just want us to do something very quick. Just introduce yourself and tell the person next to you something very random about you. For example, I will say hi to my boss, David, and I'll tell him something very random. So, David, my name is Martin Abuya. I'm due for a raise. Something like that. So let's do that for the next 3 seconds. Just introduce yourself. Introduce yourself. Introduce yourself. Introduce yourself. Somebody is going to walk away with hundreds of thousands of shillings today. You may never know. Thank you. Now, in the same spirit, yeah? In the same spirit, please take out your phones. Take out your phones. Now that you've made a new friend, take out your phone. The final challenge before you get, just take out your phone, you've made a new friend, take a selfie with that friend of yours. Take a selfie. The hashtag today is NSE Investment Challenge. The first person to tag NSE, NCBA, and Agile will get something at the end of this. So put it on Twitter, put it on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Hashtag is 2026 NSE Investment Challenge. You can tag NSE, NCBA, and Agile on your socials. NSE team, please let me know who's the first one to do that online. Yeah. Now, you do know that once we are launching the 2026 challenge, yeah, we are also awarding the 2025 winners. So one of you has already said hi to the winner. Imagine. And that person is going to walk away with a lot of money. We have security, yeah? Yes. So NSE team, please let me know who was the first person to make a post online. Our hashtag is 2026 NSE Investment Challenge. And to qualify for this prize, you have to tag NSE, NCBA, and Agile Business Solutions on all their socials. That is done? Yes. Hashtag is 2026 NSE Investment Challenge. Yeah. My able IBC team will verify and will award the winner at the end. So thank you. So straight away, I'd like to welcome Mr. David Wainaina, our Head of Trading, Data and Analytics, to officially welcome you to this event. David, karibu.
Thank you very, very much, Martin. And thank you for mixing events. We have an upcoming review where the matter that you have come up with will be discussed. So ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is David Wainaina, Head of Trading here at the NSE. I must say that we are very, very honored and happy this morning to host you. This conversation is coming at the backdrop of a very, very successful bull run. I'm sure you all know that since January, the market has returned in excess of 10% since January to yesterday. And I think to my colleagues, Martin, one of the questions would have been, how much is the index as at yesterday? And that would have also gotten a good price. But whoever is going to answer, because we have also people following us online, then the awards are many. As I have said, we have the balance sheet here in white, so we are not worried. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me first to acknowledge all of you here in the room. We have our partners, NCBA, very, very happy and proud to walk this journey with yourselves. We do have our technology partner, that is Agile. Agile has been working with us. They have promised that they are not about to leave us. So we also want to appreciate this partnership. We do also have you, the participants for the 2025 challenge. We also know there are very many of us who are following us online, and you all want to hear what is it in store for this challenge. So allow me to give these highlights on behalf of our CE, Mr. Frank Mweti. As you know, the NSE, one of our purpose, and a clear one, is to inspire Africa transformation. So Frank was not able to join us this morning. He's actually somewhere within Africa, motivating people and transforming Africa through our capital markets solutions. So please accept his apologies, but he's fully with us. And this challenge is one of the tools that we want to use even as we take this strategy forward. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome you once again to this event. This is not just a challenge. The reason why we are holding this event is because we actually believe in the future of our nation that rests in our potential young investors. As I say, we have to create the future that we want now. So if you remember last year, the NSE came up with a very bold and ambitious strategy. And our purpose, as I have said, was to inspire African transformation. We also went further and said that for us to be able to attract flows and maintain this bull run it was very, very important for us to look in terms of the investors and focus on retail investors. Under that retail space, we also said we needed to classify these investors in a manner that we know in the local space, of course, you do have your potential institutional investors, but you have the retail investors that are going to form the central to our strategy. We went further and said that we have potential young people. From the demographics, you will appreciate that this country has a young and growing population, and that's where most of us who are potential participants of this challenge lie. We said that we needed to come up with solutions for them. So you will recall that this last year, one of the strategic things we did is that we lowered your cost of entry into the market from a minimum of 100 shares to actually 1 share. That was intended to ensure that the cost of entry to this market is not an issue. Because right now, with as little as 1 shilling, you can be able to participate in your investment journey. But then the next question was, how and what do I engage with? And that is why this challenge is important. This challenge is not just a challenge, it is actually an avenue for you to practice before you get into the real deal. So we formulated a system that we call the Soko Play. We also ensured that, of course, supported by our partners here, Agile, we ensured that this system is available on web. We ensure that you can be able to access from wherever we are, because we also appreciate that this challenge is not only a Kenyan challenge, it is actually a global challenge. I remember last year we had participation from far and wide. We had a university participating in this challenge from Germany. But the beauty is that the college that won was actually a local institution. And that was, because it was last year and this is a public information, that was Strathmore University. So please clap for Strathmore. The second point I want to make is that we really want to spread this to all the universities. From a data points perspective, and this is important for our partners, we have realized that we have in excess of 5 million potential investors who can play into this channel. So one of the challenges that we must resolve as partners to this course is currently, if you want to interact with this system, it's going to cost you $1 or around 100 shillings. Our view is that that should not be a barrier to entry. So together with our partners, I want to, as we move forward, I want to announce that we will be resolving how that can be done, so that even if a student does not have their 100 shillings, then they should not be denied the chance to interact with this system as they start their investment journey. So to the partners, I just want to throw that very, very small challenge. I know my colleague Martin said that you're in white. For us as a market, and Gisho, he is here, knows that white means a balance sheet. So that's a conversation that we will be having with yourselves, because as I have said, this is not just a competition. It is actually a matter of impact. To date, this challenge has, for the past 5 years or so, has interacted with in excess of 300,000 students. Some of those students have either become investors, they have also become professionals. I am very, very happy to report that some of the team that you can see here from the NSE were actually, their first entry to the market was through this challenge. Even the gentleman who is seated at the far corner there, Mr. Kombe, who is now heading our surveillance, is actually a product of this challenge. So this is not just a competition. We want to create impact. Our view is that within this cycle of 5 years, at least every year, this challenge should be able to interact with not less than 1 million users. And that's our challenge, so that we create this impact. As I have said, we have in excess of 5 million potential young investors. But when they come in here, again, you're not going to stop there. We want, once they learn, it's like driving. You know, us, when we were old, we used to go to some table where we used to learn driving, and then we hit the road. It is the same concept in here. So what we want you to do is the moment you interact with the system, then there is a conversion, and that's where NCBA investment, you come in. We want all the students and potential investors who interact with this system, they are converted through these channels among our partners so that at least now they can go and start their investment journey directly. As I have said, this is a huge impact. You can imagine someone who came in January with 10,000 shillings, for example, right now they are 10% plus, non-compounded. So we believe that the future of this market, the impact to you young investors is actually through the stock market. Finally, we also want to put all our products in that system. I know even the winners interacted very well with the equity systems. Our view is that in that Socoplay platform, we have brought in the bonds. The bonds is an easier class for you to understand. And most importantly, and again, based on the feedback that you have given us, derivatives will be in that platform. Today, and I'm saying this to the young people, we have given clearance from our authority to be able to roll out options. So I'm encouraging you, instead of taking a bet, and I'm not saying it's bad to take a bet on Man City because it's going to lose. You can take a bet on Safaricom within a day, and then we close our positions within that day, within that ecosystem, and that's the options that we are bringing on the table. Someone will have made money, another person, depending on their research, will have lost money, and that is the beauty of investment. Some of the companies that we have that have even these single stock options, companies like NCBA, they are in there, among the others that you can see here behind me. So I want us to use this platform to ensure that we get the right factual information, because markets are driven by the right information. So we look forward to continuous engagement. For those of us who won in the year 2025, congratulations. The expectation is that you're now going to transition into the live thing. I know it was easier virtually because we gave you all the money. We will support you to start your investment journey. NCBA investment team here is here to handhold you even as you start this conversation. We are also very, very keen that even as you start your equities trading, please also ensure that you start your derivatives account journey, because these two products complement each other. As I have said, you are the future. We are ready to support you. But as I say, for you to be able to be supported, then you have to be in the room. Finally, I also want, because our intention is to ensure that we interact with all the institutions of learning in this country, be our ambassadors. It doesn't help that there is NSE investment challenge, and for example, you come from Strasbourg or Mount Kenya or any other university, and you're not socializing this with your colleagues. Please, impact is created through masses. So again, I want to request you, even those of us, those who are following us online, please let us be ambassadors to this course. We shall give you the schedule going forward. As I have said, those who have already participated in 2025, we are now handing you over to the live environment. We will be following, because we believe not only that you're going to be smart investors, but there is a lot of opportunities within the financial ecosystem. So with those very, very many remarks, I want to end it here. Once again, to congratulate those students and young investors who won the 2025. We are all winners, and we are very, very available as an exchange to even take you forward, even now you go to the live environment. So thank you very, very much, and may God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you. Please give him a better round of applause. Yes. David, all those people are clapping for you. Yes, because I've done a good job introducing you. So next I'd like to invite, there's a term that people throw loosely. Unasikia captains of industry or titans of this industry. So I'd like to introduce a legend, a mentor, somebody who after this you'd want on your speed dial if you're starting your investment journey, because he did this several years ago. and he's phenomenal at it. Hey, I'm getting emotional. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce the head of business development at NCBA, who is in charge of brokerage in NCBA Investment Bank, Mr. Samuel Gishoi. Please, a round of applause. Karibu san.
Wait, David, your raise. And he may endorse. That guy made me feel like a legend. Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name is Samuel Gishoi. I had retail sales. They call it business development, but I had retail sales at NCBA Investment Bank brokerage. And I'm really happy to be here. Mkopoa. Now, I like stories, so I'm going to start with a very interesting story. I got interested in investment because my dad used to buy shares and they would send him books. I don't know, anyone has ever seen those books they send with financials? Yeah, so they used to lie around and I would open them and try to imagine. I was a small boy. But anyway, many years later, I studied finance. And when I was doing my master's, I came to Nairobi Securities Exchange to do my study tour. And when I walked in, the first guy I met was yours truly, David Wainaina, 2006. So I was a student like you. I walked in. He gave me a big sheaf of paper. He was in a green jacket. Have you ever seen those photos of NSE? He was in a green jacket, and he gave me a big set of papers. They were called the rules, the trading rules, and left me in his office and went to work. Now, I thought he had an office, so I thought his work was, writing and signing things. But he walked to a chalkboard. He's the one who used to write these numbers. He's the one who used to write who is buying, who is selling, and that means he did not become the head of trading by luck. Amefanya kazi, sindio? All I'm trying to do is tell you that there is a journey. But we clap for him, Bana. Clap for him. He might just give him a raise. What I'm trying to tell you is that I started there, and today we stand with him trying to take you through the same journey that I went through. Today, I'm a head of business somewhere. He's a head of trading here. And we want you to have a similar journey where you can feel that it's not just about investing, but it's also about a journey in your career that you can begin here. Our partnership as NCBA with NSE hasn't started today. I can tell you for a fact that we did have this same engagement years ago before we were NCBA, and we had a graduate training program where we have a lot of people in the industry today who are doing very big things that came through an internship that came from the challenge. So this is also an opportunity for us to see you trading and doing something on this platform, and that can help you to come to us for internships and start your careers. Don't you think that's a cool thing? Right. Now, the other thing that is very important is that as NCBA, we are not looking at you as just bankers. I'm with NCBA Investment Bank, but I have Jesse. Maybe you can wave at the team. Jesse here leads our retail wealth program within NCBA Bank. Now, what are we doing there? We're trying to create a situation where we are not just banking you. We are also starting to look at what can you do with your money, how can we grow your wealth in a 360 situation. So as you bank with us, you will be able to see the impact. We are going to be mentoring you. We are going to be giving you solutions that are in line with your risk profile, for example, so that you can eventually grow your wealth. And if you're growing your wealth, doesn't it mean we make more money as a bank? Sindio? If we make more money as a bank, we get bigger, right? If we get bigger, we employ you. Ama employment inatengenezwa, ama ni serikali saidia tu. Yeah, the more we do this for you, the bigger we can, or the better we can do for you. Now, we are also going to be doing mentorship, and through mentorship, we are going to be trying to create in you an investment and savings and financial wellness culture, so that as you grow older, sisi hatukuwa na mtu wa kutuambia, we did not have people to tell us about money. You used to get employed and you think buying a car is an investment. Najua vijana mnataka ile Subaru inalia ta. Na iko na debe, tunasikia mziki kabla ufike, si ndio? We know that. But then again, you need to have a sustainable wealth journey as you grow up. And that is what we are trying to do with you. Not for you, with you. So the issue here is that we are going to be doing webinars. We're going to be giving you access to our research. We'll be giving you access to all our digital platforms so that you can start to be an investor. Warren Buffett, who is one of our best investors ever, started at the age of around 14. He was making money on a newspaper run. And the few dollars he made, he started doing what? He started investing. I always tell people, it's not the little you earn, it's what you do with the little you earn. There's people earning billions, and the next day you hear they went broke. True? But your small pocket money, that 1 shilling, if you can't take care of 1 shilling, you cannot take care of 1,000 shillings. So even those guys who are given the 100 shillings, si uenda kula hapa madon, inaitwa nini? Gumu. Hiyo so enda uingie soko place, ndio? Ndio kesho we start investing, we start growing, and for us at the end of the day, a few years down the line, you'll probably be one of the people, wewe hukuji hata bank, sisi ndio tunakuja kwako kusikia vile unataka kufanya na ako ka billion kako, si ndio? So thank you very much. I'd like to give a shout out before I leave to our marketing and culture team for what they've done for us. You can see the banners. Mnaziona aje? We'll pigia clap. The lighting, Jackie, Susan, where is and they're sat here with us. They've done a really good job. So you're going to be seeing beautiful things. Kuna sponyo ama. And of course, Jesse is here. You'll be seeing him on the panel. So let us talk. Let's talk. If you don't talk about money, you're not going to grow. Let us not have those negative beliefs about money. Let's talk about money. Okay? Tell your neighbor, kama ni pesa, hakuna swali ya kijinga. Tell them, kama ni pesa, hakuna swali ya kijinga. So let's talk about money. Let's stop fearing money as if it is a taboo. Okay? Thank you very much. And
thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please, so the clarion call here is before you leave this place, make sure you shake his hand. Karibuni sana. So we'd like to go to a very interesting segment now. We'll have a panel discussion. And I'd like to introduce our 4 panelists. So as we also launching our NSE table. Do you like this? We are doing a soft launch of this as well. You'll be seeing it a lot next year on TV when our politicians will be telling us X, Y, Z, but we decided to do it fast. Anyway, I'm the first one to use it, so I'm also making history. So first of all, I'd like to introduce Mr. Justus Ogalo, our derivatives manager. Karibu sana. Next, in our panel, I'd like to introduce Mr. Patrick Betts, head of strategic partnerships at Agile. Karibu. I'd also like to introduce Ms. Kawira Irambu from Safaricom PLC. Karibu sana. I hope I didn't massacre your name, sorry. And finally, from NCBA, we have Mr. Jesse Masiga, head of retail, wealth, and sales. This panel will be moderated by Mr. Eric Asuma, founder, Kenya and Wall Street. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. You know, I'm a good example of, starting my journey here at the NSE about 2014. And I think my first interaction with the market was the challenge. And, did a lot. And I mean, it was quite a good experience. And that even built my own career. So I hope everyone here learns the same. We have an interesting panel. Just want a lot of the new people to understand, what's happening in the market and, what are we seeing. Yeah, and maybe just to give you a bit of, I'm not an active trader, but I try to be an active trader. Probably I've traded more in the last 3 months. I don't put a lot of money, but I'll put in 1,000, 5,000. And seeing, just that growth alone, to be honest, it's mind-boggling. I'm literally looking at my app. And think of Kenya Power that is like 766%. So imagine if you had put in just 10K maybe for that particular growth. Think of other banking stocks that are up like 121%. Even bonds alone can't give you those type of returns, right? So, and my view has always been, if you start doing these things earlier and promoting that culture, I think it plays a very, very fundamental, there's a way it makes a shift in your mind around how to build wealth. And I think these are the best people to, just help us, around discuss those details. Maybe I'll start off with just us from the NSE around, NSE right now has a strategy of attracting about 9 million retail traders. Maybe could you share a bit of details, what's NSE doing to attract those particular numbers, especially the young ones?
Morning, everyone. I don't know if you can hear me. So with regards to the NSE strategy, we are currently in a new strategic period, 2025 to 2029. And to formulate that strategy, we did a lot of soul searching, and we really looked deeply into our market and how our market has been operating over the last couple of years. One thing we realized was that also there was not much retail participation. Yeah. So when we talk about some of the big markets as an example that we look at, the markets are all driven by retail participation. Over and above that, when we look at any other product that is consumed heavily in the market, it's consumed primarily by retail investors. So in order for us to be able to grow our market so that you can talk about the returns that you've just mentioned, and also you didn't mention the derivatives returns because you'd have had to add another zero. It became very clear to us that the only way to achieve that is to onboard a lot more active traders in our market. And we went further and put a number to it, and we said it was 9 million. So for us to be able to get to that 9 million, yeah, it is important for us to be able to provide a product that is actually suitable and provides a lot of longevity and sustainability to people's lives, and that actually changes people's lives. So for us to bring young investors to the market, we first have to start with the education and awareness, yeah, because we can't expect everyone to wake up and understand how to analyze a stock. As Sam said, it can take time. But how do we then compound that? Is by building the right tools and the right platforms for people to be able to learn and invest in the market. And ultimately, our industry is called the capital market. It's not pro bono. At the end of the day, people need to understand how to be able to create wealth and also retain it. So through that, we've developed these platforms like Soko Play, and we also have another platform, our learning management system, that provides a very easy and a soft entry into the market for people to be able to get that comfort and then eventually transition into the live market.
Nice. To Kawira, I was at Safaricom signing release recently, and your management mentioned that we have about 500,000 opt-ins on the ZD Trader. Yet the launch was a few months back. Maybe could you share what insights are you seeing, what trends are you seeing from those first-time traders and investors, and what Safaricom doing to promote the culture of investing?
Okay. Good afternoon. Sorry, it's still morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kawira. I come from M-Pesa, and I help us take our financial products to market. So when we're taking products to market, it's not about business, right? We want to transform lives. And I'll come back to your question on what trends we are seeing, how we are supporting the NSE and the capital markets when it comes to participation. I liked what Justus started with when he said they started with soul searching, right? And how they want to continue encouraging retail participants to start participating and continue participating on the NSE. So of course, the numbers will grow with time. And I know when we started, the biggest question that many of the retail participants were asking is, nianzie wapi, right? Many people didn't know where to start. Half of us here maybe still do not know where to start. So what M-Pesa's role is therefore in that whole ecosystem is to enable. It's enablement. Can you buy a stock as easy as it is for you to choose your next playlist? Right? So what environment are we all in today? We are all on our phones. We are all on social media. So the first step was access. Just like you said, we've lowered the barrier to entry. You can buy a single share. Like right now, if you honestly want, you can decide every Friday, before I buy myself a drink, I'm going to get myself a share, maybe as an example, from the business that I'm consuming the drink from. So that you're not just the person who is drinking, you're also a shareholder. So that's where we are going. The numbers are shifting. I know today, in terms of market participation, ZD Trader, of course, the numbers, they will go up, they will go down, but we are trending at about 50% of participation on the NSE, on the retail space. And our responsibility, I think that's the one thing that you'll keep hearing today. We are building this with you. So anyone who is willing, you will see us put out a lot of educational webinars to help you understand what does it mean to participate in an IPO, what does it mean to start building a portfolio. So I think, long story short, our commitment is beyond lowering the barrier to entry. We also want to bring the young investors, actually just the Kenyans, with us through education, so that you understand what does it take to create wealth. Not just the millions. I had somebody say millions. We want wealthy people. Sir, when now money starts working for you, you're not the only one who's working for the money. And that's where we are heading with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I'll go to our good friends from NCBA here. You know, you guys have been active in the market for some time now. But, you know, for a lot of the young investors, you know, there's that difference of investing short-term and long-term. So they'll see something on social media and buy that stock. Maybe the actual investors, especially the institutional, had the insights and knew about, and maybe that's when they're exiting, but that's when they, how would you help these guys identify, how to invest for long term rather than, the short term?
The short term. Thank you, Eric, and good morning, everyone. My name is Jesse Masiga. I head the Retail Wealth Management. That's a big name for saying that we are trying to make wealth accessible to everyone. When we look at the statistics, and I just want to give an internal story, we are segmented at NCBA so that we can be able to serve every client at every point of need and at every touch point. So we have what we call the affluent clientele. Of course, they tend to be older, maybe generational wealth, some inherited, or some have worked longer, so they've been able to accumulate as much. But we still have young investors who we call our go banking customers. And CBA, our culture is we have a go-getter culture. Now, I want to shock you. Last year in our wealth management business, the go-getter culture, the go business, the young early investors actually outdid the older generation in savings and investments. You can imagine that. And typically it's because, as a young person, and Eric has mentioned, there are so many guys on social media, and you guys in this era, you have access, who will give you all manner of stories of how to get rich quickly, all manner of stories of how you can be able to trade and get your money, double your money in a single day. But at NCBA, we normally say it's not about timing the market, it's a time in the market. So typically you need someone who can be able to mentor you, and I'm happy you have the likes of Gishohi. We will give you someone to walk with you the journey. One of the biggest things that we offer you is risk profiling. We want to understand what kind of investor are you. Yes, it's accessible. We have all these investments on our app, NCBA Now. You can typically just log in and invest. But before you invest, we want to ask you the question, what is your time horizon? For how long are you investing? We want to ask you, in case you woke up tomorrow morning and your 1,000 shillings is now showing 500 shillings of value, what does that do to you? What does that do to your heart? So as a responsible partner, we typically ask ourselves, we have to walk with you this journey as a long-term position and not as a snapshot. As I end, I want to give an analogy, and also just to get this out of the way. I'm an Arsenal fan. And the last time I saw Arsenal lifting a league, we don't care about our age. I was 13. I was actually 13. It has taken me, I was not 13, thereabout. It has taken me 22 years to see Arsenal. Now remember what Gishoyi said about mentorship. My dad introduced me into Arsenal. I now have a son. I've introduced him into Arsenal. Now it's taken 22 years for us to win the league. Now in that journey, there are certainly guys who left Arsenal for Man City. There are certainly guys who left Arsenal for Chelsea. But the guys who stood with Arsenal, you can see the returns that have happened. Now analogize as an investor. Don't time the market, get a mentor, get a suitable partner, get a safe pair of hands, and agree to walk that journey with them, and certainly the yields will come through. Thank you.
Nice, nice. To our friend here, Bet, you're on the tech side of things. Maybe could you elaborate on the importance of gamification and good sort of user experience and design, when it comes to creating experiences for investing?
Thank you so much. My name is Patrick Bett, Head of Strategic Partnerships at Agile Senior Solutions. So to your question, I think I would also like to throw up a question, ask a question to you is, if I invite you, for example, if you want to keep fit, I tell you, let's go to the gym. And another option, I tell you, let's go play golf. Which one would you find it easier? Yeah, it's going to play golf.
So for me,
yeah,
between golfing and to the gym, I think I will enjoy golfing.
Yeah, so that's what we are doing in soccer play now. Instead of inviting somebody to go to invest directly, what NCBA and what M-Pesa Safaricom are doing is not a game. It's actually spending your money. But we are removing that risk of capital from you in terms of learning. So we're telling you come and play, but you are actually interacting with the portfolios. You are interacting with the market. You are playing around, competing with your friends all over the place. At the end of the day, that is actual data that M-Pesa and Safaricom are telling you about. So by the time you're competing with your friends with no risk of your capital, and then if I also tell you, let's go study, let's go for a webinar, let's enroll for a course for you to learn about the market, I'm sure we will not be able to get those numbers. But we are just having this up, and there are over 10,000 subscribers as we speak. But to them, they have just spent 100 shillings, but they are enjoying playing, they are enjoying competing, and they are here for a reward. So the more we emphasize on these, and they are the feeds that they're interacting with the application is real. So at the end of the day, to them, they are just playing a game. And that's an application, but that's actual real data of the market. So by the time they are going now to actual real wealth, to NCB and so on, they are experts because they have seen all the risks involved. They have seen the advantages, now they are masters. And that's the impact we are building.
Nice. I think I should also admit that I'm an Arsenal fan, so it's been a good week for us. So, but anyway, I'm trying to use the analogy of the football, and it's quite interesting when you look at globally. There are industries that probably started. I'll give you an example of a company like maybe Intel or Nvidia. It's quite interesting when they got listed a few years back. The share price was not moving as it's moved in the last few years, but over the AI era, it shot up. A good example is an early investor in that company is a guy for SoftBank. He's called Masayoshi Son, right? He was an early investor in the company. Then before the AI era, he sold his stock, if you remember. Then immediately after he sold, I think he owned about 5% of the company. He sold it for probably less than $10 billion. Then the stock moved from probably to, it's now about $4 trillion. His portfolio alone, that 5% I think was now, it's probably worth more than $100 billion. But he sold, his view, and he was asked this on stage at some point, but he wanted to cash out and put into another investment. But it's just about, the long-term nature of investing and, just taking that long-term view. And I'll give you another example of a good friend of, this is a close friend of mine who is a doctor. So his daily work is a doctor. That's what he does every day. But it takes about half of his salary to put into the market. So as of last year, a bit of last year and this year, when the market was performing very well, he told me he had put in about the total amount of money he's ever invested in the market was $70,000. So which is roughly, give or take, maybe about 10 million shillings, right? As of February, his portfolio alone, because he's an active trader and he wakes up in the morning, reads the news, sees what's happening, and plays around with his money. His portfolio as of Feb was about $600,000. And he's grown that amount from COVID era, that's 2020, right? So he was telling me an example of, he took about 400,000 of that money and bought a house, right? Then already he had about 300,000 or so, something like that, still left, which was purely profits, right? So he's probably made 10x, and it took, I think, about maybe a certain small percentage, and to celebrate and to say pole, and I think it's also important. But his view is, I did this after I'd invested properly. That's a good example of someone who's done it very well. But I'll take this back to just us around what NSE is doing around the next phase of soccer play. How do you guys want to interact with the market, especially the young ones? Yeah.
So for me to also help articulate that, I also must declare I was also a participant of the NSE challenge quite a number of years ago. I will not disclose my age, but when I first did the challenge, it was very basic. You pick the share, you pick the price, you give your reason, that's it. Then you look at the leaderboard. There's not much information to go around. And for I think half the challenge, I was actually second. For a few hours, I was first, but then I went back to second. And then I kind of forgot about the account. Yeah. By the time the competition closed, I think I'd finished sixth. Because I didn't actually know properly what was going on in the market. It was one day I picked up the newspaper, I saw Equity Bank was doing something, then I think I barely even understood how to trade. So I bought a lot of Equity Bank shares and then kind of forgot about it. I saw I was in the lead, and I stood back and sat pretty, and then I guess it was probably a book closure or something, and the price kind of dipped and I went out of the leaderboard. So I didn't have much information. With that being said, over time, we've been able to acknowledge some of those nuances of where we've come from into now. So in terms of the enhancements, and for everyone who participated last year, I'm sure you're able to see a lot of good visualization, some data analytics. So we've done a lot of improvements on the data analytics. Again, a very big thank you to the Agile team for being able to deliver that for us. Through some of our other partners like TradingView, the analytic tools are even better. The information is even better. Through our data team as well, we are able to now publish, even more information to the market so that people are fully aware of what is actually going on in the market. On the product side, we've been trading the equities market. So people have been able to buy shares, looking at your portfolio and seeing how it grows. Hence why you're here, because one of you today, or rather one of you last year, was the best equities trader in the country. So we'll clap for you now and later. Yes. But over and above that, we've also made it a bit more realistic by adding new products to the market. So this year we've also introduced futures trading. And Martin has 100 shillings for the first person who tells me what a futures contract is. My moderators will help me see who is the first person to raise his hand. Okay.
My name is Emmanuel. I'm a software engineer, but a trader. So So a futures contract is an agreement to kind of like guarantee the sale of an underlying asset at a future price.
I think I'll accept the answer, unless there's anyone who knows the definition better than me. I think my title says it all. But Martin, please facilitate. Oh, we get it from your pay rise. Very good. Oh, also, fortunately for us, we have two. We have two very big balance sheets here represented. So I let you guys compete about who will give him 100 bob. Anyway, so back to my point. So we've introduced futures trading onto Sokoplay. So as we've seen, learning about what it is in the first place. Yeah, I don't expect everyone to wake up tomorrow to know what a futures contract is. However, we have enabled tools that we can able to teach about what these derivatives are and how they can actually help enhance your portfolio. And I want to place a bet on my own. I want to get into a futures contract of my own that the next year's winner will actually have generated a lot more value on their portfolio through the derivatives market. So challenge accepted there. So I think it's some of those enhancements are what we've done to make the experience significantly better. Lastly, also just to emphasize, this 100 shillings that you're paying it's a subscription that gives you access to so much more, yeah, than what you were previously getting. So it's going to be a 100 bob annual subscription, and through that you have access to unlock the winner. I think today is receiving a handsome amount. Again, as I stand with our partners on stage, I'm sure the 2026 it will be bigger. Yes, yes, it will, yeah. So I think there's a lot more to offer. Sorry, also just to wrap up, even during the period of this, the new challenge or the 2026 challenge, we will be engaging with you more frequently. So if you don't know what a derivative is, don't worry. We are going to host a session where we're actually going to explain some of these things to you, how to interact with the system, and obviously our partners are also going to participate. So I know we've had 2 minutes to listen to Mr. Gishoi. I'm sure he'll give us 20 in a webinar of some sort, so that he can also share their experiences, and likewise to our other partners. So there's a lot more, and we are going to be a lot more engaged with the market in the 2026 edition.
Nice. Kawira, when you open Safaricom, the ZD Trader, it has all the stocks, but I'm sure the question is for a lot of people and for the mama mbogas, and is how do they select what to buy? Maybe what's the next phase of ZD Trader that you guys are working on, and you think could be important?
Okay, cool. Thank you for that question. And I like that I keep hearing, where do I start? It's consistent. Where do I start? I know when we were starting the communication around ZD Trader, the insight we got even from our partners, NSE, is that many of the people who would like to start being investors did not know where to start. So there's a couple of things. I'm going to build off what my colleague has said. It comes from education. Even just the basics of today, we are getting into the investment challenge of 2026. How many people here are willing to participate? 2026 investment challenge. How many of you have an objective? Other than winning the money, what's your personal objective for investing in 2026? Yes, you.
My name is Nahashon Maina.
Nice to meet you, Nahashon.
Yeah. My goal is to really understand the derivatives and see if it works for me. Yeah. So previously my style has been to buy and wait. Now I want to see what it means to be in a very a volatile kind of market. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So just building off what Nahashon has said, yeah, it starts with your objectives. So before we even get into the financial markets, can I sit down with the person who wants to start investing and really understand why they want to participate in financial markets? or what they think wealth is. Are they in this short term? Are they trying to protect their capital from inflation? Do they want to get dividend payouts? Or are they wanting to stay in this for the long term because there is capital growth? So in partnership, both with NSE and our current broker, we are actually working on something that helps a novice investor, mtu ajui day one aanzie wapi, with the basics, the philosophy. You know, that soul searching he mentioned. So that before you even come to the platform, because even if you come to the platform and you still aujielewi, you don't know what you want, then we're not necessarily empowering you. So our commitment is to empower Kenyans so that they are clear what they want, and then we help them transform their lives by helping them connect to what they actually want. So that's our commitment.
Interesting. Thanks for that, Kawira. To just say, just curious to know, you know, a lot of these people here are university students or young ones. So if you're speaking to them and you've given them, say, they have 1,000 purely to start investing, what advice will you give them?
Thank you, Eric. I think I'll just pick it up from where Kawira has spoken about objectives, because the first thing you want to understand is what kind of investor are you? I'll give you a scenario. There's some investors who are looking at income as a goal. So that typically perhaps will maybe lead you to some dividend paying kind of instruments. There are some that are looking at growth. Perhaps maybe that's where derivatives come in to be. There are some that are looking at both. So diversification as well becomes a play. Time is on your side as a young investor. So you will typically find that you are allowed more mistakes than I would be allowed. But remember as well, there's nothing that pays as much compound interest as a bad mistake. So study hard. Make sure before you get into any scenario, study hard. I also go back into mentioning you need to choose a suitable partner. Remember the guys who've done this before you. I'll give you an example. Anytime you have a direct stock because you're trying to follow the market and you're not speaking or studying to someone who possibly understands that, you are more susceptible to shock than someone who has spoken to someone, and as well than someone who has diversified. We do have a very nice equity fund. 2024 returned 35%, last year returned 34%. So I'll give you an example in your age. If you get 10 million shillings, if it's returning 30% for the next 20 years, I heard there's an engineer here, that will mean that you're getting on average 3 million shillings. Now compound that. By the time you get to 40, you will possibly maybe be upwards of 150 million shillings. But if your goal as an investor is income, then my equity fund is not for you. I will then come and tell you I do have maybe a money market fund. But even as you wait for me to engage you, as you wait for me to have a conversation with you, the first thing is get a return on your money. Take your money, put it in a money market fund. It's not price sensitive. By price sensitive, I mean it's not open to market risk, so there's no risk of loss. As you process, as you study, as you think, as you get to the experts to now tell you this is a way to do it, first of all, put it in a money market fund, get your interest, take time to study, get a suitable partner, and don't forget that as much as time is on your side, always diversify so that you do not have a concentration risk.
Good. Bet, in your views, given for the time that you've been working with NSE around building these platforms, have you seen any change, around the young investors using these stimulation platforms, to learn and grow about the market?
Certainly. So we have seen some growth in numbers, but how we measure change also is what we hear from feedback from the market, because we said from from the learning experience we have. But from my colleague, my age mate from NCBA, just mentioned that there was a competition and then the young generations outperformed the elders. Last year, from statistics, I think the average age of in the market was 56 years. So from there, from there you can tell that there is no inclusion. So the impact that we are trying to do is now from technology. We want to hear more from NCBA, from M-Pesa, that we are seeing more search, more inclusion and behavior. That's the change we want to hear by the use of this soccer play. At the end of the day, we are trying to remove this if you don't know, from your heard of objectives in technology, we perceive that as personalizing. When a tech person, when we say objectives, we are now doing as customer needs, and that is personalizing the market. So we make it simpler for them, and that's the change. At the end of the day, we'll see change. If we tap to that objectives and the fear of the unknown into a simpler way, then you see that there is more understanding, and then at the end of the day, you'll see more participation by the young generation. And that we have seen. The numbers are growing, the one participating in the market. There's more knowledge, they are more interactive, they are more engaging at the moment. So that's the behavior, and that's the direction we want to take. Yeah.
Okay, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the session. And yeah, anyone who has a question?
Okay, my name is John, final year student, BCom, finance option. So I have a question about, yes, like I have a goal when I want to trade shares. And would you advise about portfolio diversification? Or should I like specifically trust on maybe to one company, like in all I should divide into different depending on the capital that I own instead of just risking the amount? And what would you advise? Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And your name is Joe? John Maina. Pleasure. And then thank you for that question, Maina. So you can actually get more returns from a single stock, typically, assuming that it's on an upward. I think there was a bullish question here, assuming it's on an upward trend. But the reality is that you are more susceptible to shocks should anything happen to that company. I'll give you an example. We all know Trump. Trump will make a remark and markets will get a shock. And that can happen overnight. Even before you sleep, by the time you're waking up, you have a shock. So typically, yes, you can make money, but in the risk-return matrix, you have to have some sort of balance that says, what amount of risk do I need to take to gain enough benefits? But also, what are the mitigants that I do have to make sure that in case there are shocks, I also do not get into a loss position? And one of the mitigants that is heavily encouraged is diversification. Of course, there will be other mitigants like stop losses and everything, but diversification as a principle of investment comes in heavily. But even as you diversify, don't diversify just for the sake of meeting the diversification goal. Work with someone who tells you that, as well, these are the list of companies we think that you can put your bet on. And I think hapo ndio sijui mnasema weka mawe. Zile bets unaweza weka mawe, but don't diversify for the sake of meeting the diversification goal. Diversify with the intent of making sure that you risk mitigate and as well accelerate your returns.
That please, just with your permission, yeah? Yeah, I think I want to really encourage everyone in the room before we even get into the finances, right? See, finance is an extension of life, yeah? Even whether it's with the guidance of somebody who knows, whether it's through your research, just sit down and ask yourself, what kind of an investor am I? I think there are some themes that are coming out that are repeated. What are my objectives? Why do I want to get into investing in the capital markets? Am I doing it long term? Am I doing it to understand the markets? What is my risk profile? Because if your risk profile, say for example, is very low, mimi nataka tu kuwekelea mawe everywhere, then there is no need to diversify. But it comes back to start with your personal investment policy. Where mwenyewe, what do I want? How long am I in this for? What are my objectives? Because that, even as you come to the people, the experts, at least they are able to match your portfolio to what you want it to be. But start with yourself. Please, 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 please. Yeah.
Allow me to also just add on to that. One of the reasons we also introduce the Soccer Play platform is also for you to try and figure out what is your risk appetite, as he had talked about. Sometimes you actually don't know yet, but you want to figure it out. I spent a bit of time as a trader before I came to the exchange, and I'm sure even Gishui will tell you, you think you have a risk appetite until you see a negative number on a screen, or you think you feel safe until you see how positive can be. So sometimes that's actually not sometimes. That is exactly why we introduced Soccer Play, so that you can also try and figure out what is that strategy that will actually work for you. So if you want to spend a bit of time trying to figure out, if I buy Safaricom or NCBA shares and hold on to them, see what I did there? So, okay. If you want to try that and go with it, that's fine. If you want to diversify, this is also how you figure out how to diversify, which sectors to play around it. So that's exactly why we built, together with Agile, we built Soccer Play, for you to be able to figure it out.
Nice. Clap for our moderators.
Thank you. Another round to our panelists for doing an excellent job. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, some interesting news has just come in while the panel was, disseminating a wealth of knowledge. So, for those who know, the NSE hosts the Secretariat of Association of Securities in what's ASEA? ASEA is Association of Exchanges in Africa, ASEA. So our the head of the ASEA Secretariat, who is streaming in live, was impressed by whoever answered the question on futures and said that instead of 100 shillings, we should give you 1,000 shillings. So see me after this. Thank you. So we've listened to NSE, we've listened to NCBA. I'd like us now to listen to our technology partner, after which we'll go straight ahead and award the 2025 winners. So I'd like to invite at this point Mr. Nathan Kimutai, Executive Director, Agile Business Solutions. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Good morning once again. Before even I move forward, I would like to introduce the team who actually participated in developing the app. The Agile team, please stand up. The Agile team. So please, let's clap for. As you can see, all of them are actually, all of them, if they are all Gen Zs except maybe one or two guys. Yes. And also, it's also quite a mix. We have ladies, and the gender is quite also balanced. Thank you. So hopefully, you can have a seat. So I think guys here have been talking about stories, but my story is quite different. And I think I'll start from that perspective. Growing up, we grew up in the village, and by around 2002, 2004, that's when now we started knowing what is the market. We started watching TV and understanding what these things call the market, exchange, and all these things. So in 2004, 5 thereabout, there was a big surge in our village. We used to go to watch TV. TV haikuanga kwa manyumba, tulikuwa tunaenda kwa center to watch the television. And guys used to talk about the stocks. And guys will move from my village to Eldoret to buy shares. So based on what they were seeing every day. So guys will keep a book, write it down and write it down and write it down. Then guy goes to Akiparua, gets 100 shillings a week, maybe at the end of the week, maybe saves, go to town and do what? Buy shares. But I think now being here today is quite, I'm happy being here today because of soccer play, because my village mates now will no longer have that experience, will have a different experience than what we had when we were growing up. So, what I want to say is the soccer play app is not only meant for young people. I think there's that narrative that it's young people. I think it's meant for all of us. Everybody to have access to information, and as agile business solutions, that's what we'll be happy about. If we are able to make the impact, if we are able to give you know, people make choices based on information, based on what they get. For example, I'll use a scenario. Politics and religion is based on information. The same thing to investment. Anything about money, actually there are three things: money, politics, and religion. They go hand in hand. So as Agile Business Solutions, we are very happy to be preaching about empowerment and preaching about giving people information about how to make their future successful by being empowered. So thank you so much. I also want to appreciate our partners, NSE. We've worked a journey. We'll continue working together. We'll be supporting you every time you have that opportunity to support you, and also support the young people. Thank you so much, and have a good morning and afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I like what you said about soccer play being open to everyone of all ages, yeah? Which reminds me of a story. One of my bosses, I won't say who, was trying to apply for a master's course online. Then ikafika mahali ikasema enter your age. He entered, ikamwambia please enter the correct age. So there's a time for everything. Again, I won't say who, but David, sorry. So at this point, I'd like us to watch a very short video on that screen at the extreme. That's your right. Yes. Then we'll proceed to award the winners. Yeah. So as they set up, just want to make another announcement. We will be having refreshments at the tail end of this ceremony. So please do not leave. Take that chance and opportunity to interact, network with all the gentlemen and ladies that you saw here speaking about, investments. This is your time today. Santeni. So in the meantime, we can all be going to Play Store and search for Soccer Play. And iOS as well, though I have only seen one iOS user. Yes, so for all Android users, please let's go to Play Store, search for Soccer Play. In the meantime, Soccer Play, same on iOS. It's also available on web, academy.nsc.co.ke.
Yeah, that one motivation is because I have a passion in the capital markets.
I started the challenge last year. It's my first competition. So I did the challenge to learn from it, basically pit myself against others and see how it would go. So the competition was really nice. It was easy for me and enjoyable. I'd say it's my desire to learn and my interest in the financial markets. So I wanted to have a real feel of how trading is in real life, and the competition provided that for me.
It is not just an interest, a passion, a deep passion in it. And this is because the future of the capital markets in Kenya, it is not just for institutions. It is for the young people who are informed to make the long-term decisions and to grow our economy.
I didn't really find a challenge going about with the interface, which is a really good thing. The interface was really easy to use. It was easy to go about.
I remember always checking the leaderboard to see my position, and it wasn't really forthcoming. So I took a position. I tried to diversify my portfolio, and I saw that really wouldn't win me the competition. So I had to shift my strategy from diversification and really shifted it into concentration into one position.
So I mostly focused on the volume column, because if a lot of people are interacting with that certain stock, it means that the high risk, it's just like a high risk, high reward type of thing. So I checked on the volumes column which stock had a great number. So that's what I mostly focused on.
It feels great, and it is also motivating because each and every time you compete and you appear among the top investors, it gives you a motivation to continue doing it. Yeah.
So for purposes of the competition, you really need to concentrate for higher returns, because when you diversify, you keep diluting your returns. So that doesn't give you a really high position in the competition.
My advice to them is that they should log into NSE Digital Academy, and the link to the NSE 2026 challenge is displayed on your screen.
Yeah, so I'd like to go straight to awarding. We would like to go to straight to awarding the winners. So gentlemen, please help me with this table. Now we can remove our fancy table. So a challenge was done. Winners are known. It was a public, challenge, and these guys did exceptionally well. And Mr. Gishoi will tell us if this happens in the real market. So we are going to award the top 5, and we'll start with number 5. But first, I'd like to mention that the person who comes in at number 5 started with a portfolio of 250,000. Do you know how much he finished with? 802,414. Yes. We? Sijui nikupatie yangu. So that was none other than Mr. Lenny Josiah. Karibu sana. As he comes up, is he represented here? I'd like you all to know that this challenge had the participation of 85 universities, both locally and some international. Yeah. So Mr. Lenny is not in? Yeah, he's not in. Okay. Coming up at number 4, who will be awarded by our head of trading is Grace Sigay from Strathmore University. So Grace started with 250,000, and by the time we were done, her portfolio was at 944,412. Is Grace in? Is Grace in today? No, she's not in. Okay. Amekutoka. Is there a representative? Okay. Our futures winner will receive. Karibu sana. Smile for the photo. This is CNN. This is CNN. Yes. Okay. Now, our second runners up. Now, this guy started with 250,000 and finished with a portfolio of 986,951. Now, this second runner-up will not only, walk away with bragging rights, but we are going to issue a 40,000 shillings cash award. He comes from the Catholic University, and his name is Andrew Muthotho. Karibu sana, Andrew. Is Andrew here? So, Miss Kawira, please. Safari, please come. Karibu sana. Congratulations. Now that you have won 40K and you're going to give me 10K, what are you going to do with the 30,000? Karibu sana. Receive your award. 40,000. Thank you so much, Andrew. Spread the gospel. Can also spread the 40,000. Asante sana. Thank you. Now, our first runners-up, who was second, started with a portfolio of 250,000, and by the time he was done, he had made 1.1 million. I am talking about Obed Stanley from University of Nairobi. Karibu sana. Now, Obed will be awarded by Mr. Nathan Karibu, and he will be walking away with 60,000 Kenya shillings. Security, Karibu sana. That is a 60,000 shilling smile. Ah, Obed. Let's celebrate. Yeah. Look at the cameras. A dedication to last throughout the years. So bring your good times. Thank you. And your laughter too. We gonna celebrate and party with you. Come on now. Celebration. Oh, thank you. Now finally, our winner. Hey. Started with a portfolio of 250,000. Finished with a whooping 1.3 million shillings. Let us clap for that. This particular person will be awarded by our legend, Mr. Kishoi, karibu sana. And our winner will be walking away with a whooping 100,000 Kenya shillings. Please give it up for Loni Otieno. Karibu sana. Guys, winners wear suits. Hey. Hey. Let us clap for him. 100,000 shillings. Before you go, mkubwa, kiongozi, mheshimiwa, mkubwa, please say something. Say hi to your people. Wasalimie.
Good afternoon, guys. So first, I'm an Arsenal fan. I had to, I had to get that out of the way. So, guys, thank you for the opportunity. We hope to have more. So, it was a really wonderful learning experience. The only advice I can give you, like the younger guys, maybe consider trading, consider investing. We still have a lot of time. I think the market is at a place where it's going to punish underperformance. So if you are really young, please strive to have a portfolio that overperforms. You can take on more risk, you have more time. If you make a mistake, you can learn and adjust your portfolio. So the current inflation is only gonna go up. So that's not gonna be good for your returns. So please, young guys, accumulate, buy, keep trying, keep buying. So that's all I had to say.
So I'd like to call back all the winners. Lonnie, please. I'd like to call back all the winners. See, as an Arsenal fan, he had motivation to do this, yeah? Imagine betting for 22 years. He had to recover his losses. So all the winners and representatives from NSE, Safaricom, Agile, and NCBA, please come on stage. All the winners, please come on stage. Yeah. So at this point, I'd also like to announce that their money will be deposited directly to NCBA Investment Bank, the CDS accounts, so that they can begin their investment journeys. Yes. So please hold your checks. Wow, just look at that. Music, smile.
The emperor, the conqueror, the champion, the lion is here.
For all our winners, JW Marriott is right next to us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, if Safaricom, NCBA, and NSE, please remain on stage, please. We'd like to just close and launch the next 2026 challenge. Yeah. So, Agile? Yeah. So before we launch, can I have the bell, please? Yes. So before we launch, please tell us, how can our lovely audience participate in the next challenge?
Oh, the question is, how can everybody participate? I think the app is outside there. We have iOS, we have web, We have Android, so just log in, it's easy, pay 100 shillings and start. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Once again, if you're from Agile, just raise up your hand so that if you'll offer support after this, for anyone who has questions, just raise up your hand. The Agile team, the lovely team that is introduced, please look around, reach out to them, they'll onboard you immediately. So now, we'd like to launch officially the 2026 Investment Challenge with all our partners on stage. So we have our tech partner, we have NCBA, we have Safaricom, and of course NSE. So immediately after this, challenge will be live. Start trading and we'll celebrate you in no time. Imagine Lonnie is 100,000 shillings richer. And immediately he touched that check, his English changed. Man, money transforms people. So David, without further ado, please ring the bell, let us launch the 2026 challenge. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So as we set up for the refreshments, there's a tent outside that NCBA has set up. We can use that to work as we set up for snacks. Please do not leave. And see you next time. Asanteni sana.